Welcome to Old Fashioned on Purpose, a show where we look at how to stay human in an artificial world. And we are into episode 2 of our tiny little short season that I explained in the last episode. We're just doing these 2 episodes here in December, kind of the end of the year before I take the Christmas break. And then I'll be back the first of the year with hopefully regular episodes. So I took a little bit of a break, actually a lot of a break the last few months. And I explained all of that reason in the episode before this one. So go listen to that. I'm not going to beat a dead horse there. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about something that when I've been kind of expressing where I'm at in life right now and what has changed and what I'm juggling, one of the responses that I got from a lot of you, I got a lot of encouragement, which was lovely. And a lot of people saying they were in the same boat. But one of the things that you kept saying is like, can you pull back the curtain and like, can you explain how you do the things you do? Because from the outside, it would appear that I have a lot going on. And actually, I do have a lot going on. We own a restaurant. I own online businesses. I write books. My husband runs a charter school. We have 3 kids in activities. We homestead. We have a lot going on. So people are always like, how do you do this? Like, what's the secret? And I've talked about it in various forms over the years, but it's always changing. And my perspective on it is always shifting. And so today I wanted to get into the honest truth, the nitty gritty of what that looks like to balance or not balance. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. All of these pieces, because it's probably not what you think. It's easy to assume and have perceptions from the outside looking in, but it's probably not what you think. So I wanted to share that with you today. So we're just going to dive right in. I feel like for this show right now, I don't want to have a lot of structure. I don't want to have fancy intros or outros. We're just going to go for it. So here we go. Let me pull up my notes if my computer will allow. The first piece that I really want to hit home that I feel like people don't understand is not everything I do happens all at once. So the question and the word that comes up the most is balance. How do you balance? What does balance look like? And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I don't believe in balance, at least not in that traditional sense. It's just not real. It's not realistic. So I think a lot of times when we think of balancing a schedule or balancing a life, you're trying to figure out how you have a little bit of everything each day or each week, and it all just like works out equally and evenly. And in my experience, that is not the case. There is seasonal balance, but definitely not a daily or weekly or sometimes even a monthly balance. And so what I mean by that is when I am highly focused on one thing, then a lot of other things go on the back burner. So it might look from the outside like I'm milking the cow and doing the gardens and at the restaurant and writing the books and, doing all these other business things all at once. But actually, usually 1 or 2 or 3 of those things are kind of being ignored while I'm focusing on the others. So take this summer, for example. The past year, I have been working really hard on cookbook number 2. And I'll get to tell you more about that in the coming months. But I'm really, really excited about it. If you liked the Prairie Homestead cookbook, this is in the same vein. You're really going to like this one. But cookbooks take a lot of work. So I had to really focus on that. Not only recipe development, figuring out like what recipes, testing them, writing the thing. And then we had this huge photo shoot we had 2. We had a smaller one in July and then another one in September. Super intense. Like, even though I'm not photographing, I have an amazing photographer and I had stylists come. We still had to map out what it's going to look like and how to prep and how to plan and how to grocery shop. And it was just a lot. So during this time, I didn't ride my horses much at all, which kind of broke my heart. And I would wake up sometimes at 3 a.m. going, oh my gosh, I'm losing all the ground I made on the horses. But that was what was necessary to get this cookbook project buttoned up. And I accept that, right? There will be other years where I ride a lot. Last year, I rode a ton. I didn't do much online. I rode so much, which was fabulous. And I'm now going to shift back into riding more, although now it's winter, so it's going to be tricky. But that was the balance of the summer. A lot of cookbook, not a lot of horses. Also this summer, my garden, it wasn't great, folks. Like, it was bad. I actually kept it pretty nice up until I needed to get the photos taken. And then after that, I lost all control. Like, it went full on feral. And as it stands right now, early December, I've cleaned up the tools out there, but all of the foliage and leaves and vines, they're still out there. It looks like World War III, basically. It probably will leave it throughout most of the winter. Just leave the ground cover for the bugs and all of the stuff. So my garden is not put away nicely. I don't have this perfect layer of compost or mulch on it. It's very, very overgrown and feral. But that's what had to happen in order for me to be able to get this book written. So, what I'm just saying is you might think I'm doing it all. I am not doing it all. I am doing some and letting some of the others just be and just sit. And the hardest part of that is letting go of that guilt that you should, the shoulds, which I really hate. Oh, I should be growing a garden. I should be writing more. It's nice. It's good weather. You have to just figure out how to let those go, because it just won't work otherwise. And the second piece of that segues into is that things do slip through the cracks. And so I alluded to this on social media a couple weeks ago. And actually, a number of you wrote me back and were like, it happened to me too. Thank you for saying it. But here's my deep, dark confession of fall 2025. I let most of my tomatoes rot. I'm not proud of it. I don't love it. I still feel upset over it, but I just could not get them canned in time. I planted them from seed and I kept them pretty nice. And I even trellised them early summer. I had really good intentions. And then as they started to come on, as they do, I have some red, some green, some orange. I had to like balance all of that. And then I usually just can a lot of sauce. That's been my pattern for a decade. Grow a lot of tomatoes, can a lot of sauce. I put them in, I got them harvested one day. I wasn't really thrilled about having to harvest them because I was super busy and I was out there. Like, can you relate to this when you're out there trying to do something in the garden and your brain is somewhere else and you're just like, I just got to get it done. And it just feels like it's taking forever. That's not my ideal gardening situation. I don't enjoy it in those capacities and I try to avoid it, but I couldn't avoid it that day. So I was out there kind of angry harvesting. I put them in boxes and then I put them in my laundry room and they mostly turned black and attracted fruit flies. So the chickens got most of my tomatoes this year. Don't love it, like I said, but it happened because I was just running so many other directions. And so I didn't can a lot of other things this fall. On really busy weeks where let's say we have a soda fountain supper, generally laundry piles up. Generally my house isn't as clean. Generally we're eating more leftovers. Like things do fall through the cracks. So it's not like I'm keeping all of these balls in the air all the time. So I'm just telling you that because I just want you to know I'm not perfect. And sometimes that's just the things that get sacrificed in the midst of doing big projects and trying to keep things rolling and having 3 kids that you're running all over the place. Like things do fall through the cracks and I'm going to say it's okay. I'm going to say that's human and that's fine. And we can come to accept that in different seasons of life that are busier than others. Another piece of this that has really helped me over the years that I've done a lot more, especially the past few years, is that I really listen to my gut now before I say yes to things. I was telling you in the last episode, I turned 40 this year. I feel like it's not that it's magical. It just, something shifted in me where I'm like able to actually be more in alignment with how I truly feel and say what I really feel. And so I've gotten a lot better. If someone brings something to me they want me to do, or they have a favor, or they want me to partake in a project, I'm able to much more easily and much more quickly discern if this is something I actually want or not. I used to do a lot of things out of obligation or a lot of things that were good enough, but not like a hell yes. And so now if it's not a hell yes, then I don't do it. And that's been a long time coming for me. I've been able to sort of get there, but like I'm able to really be there now. And so for me, it's looked like, I've cut out businesses. You guys know we shut our beef business down last year. I've shifted my online business and really cut out the things that just felt like I was doing them out of obligation. At the soda fountain, we really got clear on what hours were most profitable. And so right now it's wintertime. We don't have a lot of traffic through. We have some locals, but locals can be fickle. Oh, I'm going to have an episode on that soon. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be juicy. But wintertime, we just don't do as much business, right? It's snowy and those roads are closed sometimes and people don't drive through this part of Wyoming. And so we were staying open all day long, generally in years past, because some locals wanted that. And we started to look at the numbers this fall and I'm like, this is actually costing us money. This is hurting the business. And so we've shortened our hours. We're closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays right now, not through the summer, but through the slow season. That's freed things up. I was scared to do that for years because of the local pushback. And make no mistake, the week we did that, the week we shifted our hours, I got nasty texts from people who were mad, who were like, there's no restaurants open in town today. And I'm like, well, but you don't come in on Tuesdays. Y'all don't come in on Tuesdays. So I can't stay open on the chance that you might come in on a Tuesday. Anyway, that was a big shift, right? Getting really clear. Um, I don't say yes to a lot of committees or meetings or things like that that might come up locally. I am involved on a local basis, absolutely, but it's in terms of like through the businesses or through the school. I'm not able to do a lot of the extras. It's just not the stage of life I'm in right now. We've also even just trimmed our businesses. Like we've gotten really strategic with our cattle in terms of deciding not to cab heifers for this period because that was just taking up so much time in our current setup where we lease our ground. It was just tricky. So we stopped cabbing heifers, which made our springs much easier. We are looking at, how much cow calf operation do we want? Do we want to be starting to work on selling bred heifers or selling yearlings, or what does that operation look like to be profitable, but also something that feels more doable without having to have extra help to make that happen. And so it's just having a lot of those conversations, which again, it might look like from the outside, oh, they're running cattle, oh, they're running a restaurant, oh, she's launching a planner in a book. But like there's a lot of strategy in there that allows certain things to go on the back burner when needed or just be cut out altogether. And so saying no, I think is hard for a lot of us. I know it has been for me pretty much my whole life because when you do say no, people are disappointed. Like people are frustrated with you. And it doesn't always feel good that first moment when you send that email saying no, thank you. Or you have to tell someone to their face, no, thank you, I can't do that. But I think pretty darn quickly after you say it, you get that relief that you were like true to what you needed to do. Right. So again, it's just like saying or reserving my yeses for things that are absolutely like hell yes versus just the good enough things, the things that are just okay. And that's been, I think, something that you have to kind of mature into. I know I did, especially as a young homesteader and a young entrepreneur. I think this is really normal and natural. We have to go through those seasons of almost like crazy expansion to see where we're going to land. I see that in homesteading. I did it myself in homesteading. I see it in entrepreneurs. I've done it myself in entrepreneurs. We have to grow. We're like more is good. More animals, more projects, more plants, more gardens, more businesses, more arms of my business, more products. And then at some point we go, okay, I've tried it. This one doesn't feel as good as I thought. This one isn't working like I thought. And you can start to prune down. So I heard someone say the other day, I wish I could remember it exactly. I'm going to paraphrase it, but they're like, the only thing that grows without ever stopping in nature is cancer. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, good point, right? So we should have natural cycles and seasons of growth and pause and rest and die off and pruning, and that's good and normal and natural. So that's been a big shift for me to kind of figure out how to balance, haha, quote unquote, all of that. Another piece is I do have help, right? And not as much help as I used to. We have really cut our team down because this is a tricky one because almost every business coach I've worked with or everybody you listen to in that entrepreneur world, it's like trendy to be like, you need to hire more help. You need to outsource more. Quit being a bottleneck. Quit doing everything yourself. That is true in many capacities. And there are people I will say that to. You need to hire help. You need help in this. You can't do it all yourself. Absolutely. But you can have too much help. And I have done that same thing where I expanded excessively and then I had to pull it back, right? And so I still have help, not as much as I used to, because what I realized is my payroll in my business was getting really giant. And I was trying to create busy work to keep the employees busy to justify having them because I liked having them around, but it was like a really dumb business decision, right? It wasn't actually profitable. So these days, whereas I used to have a really big online team, I just have my amazing assistant, Chris. And if you've ever emailed me or been a part of my programs, you've met Chris. She has been with me for over a decade. She knows my business probably better than I do. So she is the one who kept things going for me when I was writing the book. She helps produce the podcast. She posts for me on Facebook. She handles my Pinterest account. I do all of my Instagram and I'd write my newsletters, but she's in there cleaning up posts or fixing broken links and answering customer service emails. Like she does a ton. So if I didn't have her, I couldn't operate the way I do right now. Like she's an absolute necessity. And of course, I also have a team at the soda fountain. We have an amazing manager. We've had him for a year, and he is changed the whole trajectory of the entire business. And then we have, our regular employees. So I am at the soda fountain more these days because I find it enjoyable. And I explained a little bit about why that is the case in the previous episode. But I don't have to be there all the time, and I'm not there all the time. And so when I'm not there, they open and they close and they can handle it without me. So when I'm there, it's because I want to be there, right? It's not because I have to be there. And that's another big piece, because if I was running a restaurant and I was the only one who could do all the pieces and all the management, like that wouldn't work with my life. It wouldn't fly. I can't run a restaurant full time and run other businesses full time. So I have a team there. We don't have a ranch hand right now. We had our wonderful ranch hand Taryn for 5 years, and he moved on to other adventures last year, and we actually never replaced him just because we had this conversation again that how much expansion is too much expansion. And we got to the point with where we were at with our cattle and our operations, like we were kind of having to come up with busy work at that point, where because we didn't have as much as we used to as far as projects and stuff to keep him busy. So we don't have anyone helping us there right now. And I don't know if we will for quite some time. With the way we've downsized our cattle, we're just trying to keep it manageable for us. But, I do have, Christian helps with getting hay and making hay and doing the cattle, and the kids are helping with the chores and keeping the chickens fed and watered. So we still have the family team on the homestead. So I don't want anyone to think I'm out here doing all of it by myself, because I'm not, right? I'm absolutely not. Those strategic partnerships are everything. And then the final piece that I really do use, and this isn't because I'm selling a planner, I really do outsource my brain to paper, like so much, like every single day, whether I'm at the soda fountain or I'm at home, whether I'm working on a book or a digital product or a restaurant event, I am writing things down and organizing on paper constantly. I know that sounds maybe cliche or like duh, or maybe even gimmicky because you're like, duh, Jill, you're going to be talking about your planner. But like, no, really, guys, like I have to do that. And so I want to use the last few minutes of this podcast to just share with you how I actually use the planner, because that is another question I have legitimately been getting from those of you who have the planner or are looking at the planner, or maybe you're using a different planner. Like, how do you actually use it to make it count? I know a lot of you write me and say, I get planners every year, but I don't actually use them. And I think there's some guilt and shame around that. So first off, we're going to take that off the table, because even if you get a planner and you don't fill it out perfectly, you're still using it. Even if you're filling it out half or imperfectly, or it's scribbly or whatever, you're still using it. It's still helping you, right? So it's not about completing it. This isn't another job for you to complete the planner. It's okay if there are blank pages. It's okay if you don't use certain sections. But I want to share with you how I'm actually using mine that actually makes my life go more smoothly. So let me pull my notes up for that one. Okay. I'm going to hold up my planner if you're watching this on YouTube, but if you're not watching it on YouTube and you're listening, because I don't actually ever watch podcasts on YouTube, I only listen. You can go to my blog, and I'm going to drop that in the show notes. And I have a post with pictures of inside the planner, and you can also find videos and stuff. So there's lots of looks inside this planner if you want to actually visualize what I'm saying. But the first thing I do is I brain dump excessively, obsessively, so much brain dumping. And sometimes I do it on whiteboards at the soda fountain, and here at home, we have whiteboards everywhere. So if I'm doing it with other people, I often use a whiteboard. If I'm doing it for myself, I use my planner. But I am brain dumping forever and always, because I find my biggest point of stress. And I actually got into this summer when I got so bogged down with everything I had this summer that I kind of got into one of those holes, and I couldn't figure out how to get out of and kind of organize myself out of it. And so what would wake me up at 3 a.m. would be like all the different things. It'd be like, oh my gosh, the horsemanship clinic is coming. Do you have the menus figured out yet? Oh my gosh, fair is coming. The kids' animals aren't ready. Oh my gosh, the book deadline. When are you going to do this? And how are you going to do this? And so those were the things that I would like lose sleep over and get anxiety over. The way I stop that, especially when there's so many little pieces floating around, your brain's trying to figure out where they're all going to go, is you've got to get it out of your brain and on paper. And for years and years, as soon as I can write that sort of those things down, that's when I start to feel relief. And that's when I start to get the anxiety and turn that into action. So in the planner, if you have my planner or you're getting my planner, we still have them available. There is a brain dump section at the beginning of every month. So I'm going to hold it up to the video, but go look on the website if you're not watching. So there it says brain dump, and then underneath it says prioritize. And on the following page, it has 4 boxes for projects. What I do with this, and you can do this on a blank piece of paper too, or a whiteboard. Number 1, I brain dump everything that's bothering me. I don't care if it's buy a piece for the toilet to fix. I don't care if it's write a new book. I don't care if it's plan a menu for the 5-star supper night. I don't care if it's ride the Colt, like whatever is making me feel anxious or like, oh my gosh, I'm so overloaded. It goes in the brain dump. No order. I don't care if it's silly. I don't care if it's big. I don't care if it's ridiculous. It all gets written down. Then I take it and I prioritize it on the box underneath. So which ones are most important, right? Sometimes the things that keep us up at night are actually not the important things, are just silly, and our brain gets stuck on them. So, it may be the big one, the big domino, maybe I got to write the book proposal. So that'll be number 1. That is my do or die for this month. And then the next one might be, well, I got to harvest the tomatoes because they're going to die if I don't, obviously failed on that one this year, but that's all right. My third one could be order the part for the toilet because it's really annoying and it's frustrating the whole family. And then the other pieces may just be like, if it gets done this month, it'll be nice, but it's not going to like ruin everything if it doesn't happen. And then I take the top 2 to 4. Don't go more than that. All right, we can't prioritize everything. Not everything is a priority. We take the top 2 to 4 projects and we go on the following page where it says projects in each of these boxes. And that's where I take the project, like, let's say, finish the book proposal. And then I start to break it down into baby steps. Because if I just write finish book proposal on my calendar, like my brain can't latch onto what that means. That's very difficult. And you can do it, but you're going to feel a lot more mental friction. You're going to be like, it feels fuzzy. It feels vague. I can't really cross it off. I don't really know. And that's where it gets pushed to the next week and you create more anxiety. So when we break it into baby steps, that is what makes it doable. We create a dopamine snowball where we check off one little bit and then we get a little bit of dopamine and we want to do the next, and we want to do the next. So let's say if it's write a book proposal, my first check mark might be I need to research proposal templates. My next check mark may be to reach out to my agent to talk about what's working right now. My next check mark may be to figure out what recipes are going to go on the proposal. My next check mark may be research other people's proposals, see what is comps, comparables in my world right now. Then I might be write the introduction to the proposal. And then I might just break each piece into a tiny baby step. I don't think you can get too granular because then you get to start taking those little baby steps and plugging them into the weekly spreads. And that's where you start getting it done. And that's where it starts to go from anxiety, vague, I don't know what to do with this, into I'm doing it. It's happening, right? I know it sounds silly, but it works so well for me. So whether you're building a chicken coop, whether you're canning, whether you're cleaning your bathroom, deep cleaning, you're re-renovating something in your house, the baby steps, the granular is where you start to be able to get it done. And it just banishes that procrastination. Okay. The next piece that I really love the planner for are the habits. So again, this is not a shame and guilt page because I feel like sometimes with habit trackers, we start good in January, January 1st resolutions, and then it gets to be like this, I fell off the wagon. So if you look in my planner from this past year, you'll see a lot of falling off the wagon with the habits. And I don't have every one of these columns in the habit tracker filled out. If it's a busy season, it's 1 or 2 things. It might be walking or working out or maybe drinking water, taking my vitamins. Excuse me. It's not 15 different habits. And I don't care if it's perfect. And the only reason I do this is because what is measured gets managed. Like when I'm tracking it, I just have more awareness. That's all this is for, right? This isn't to beat myself up. This isn't to be like, wow, May sucked. I really didn't do very well in May. It's just to have awareness. And so what I found though, is just the way my brain's wired. And maybe you're like this, maybe you're not. I like the game of crossing things off and filling it out. And so I'm just more prone to do it if I have a little tracker. And this is literally a checkbox. I walk, a mile a day, I check it off. I do a workout, I check it off. It's not a big, extensive journaling exercise. It's also kind of fun if you are doing something like walking to be able to see how many miles you've walked. Like I did this last year. I have a treadmill desk and I was walking a lot outside. And I just was like, I'm going to see how many miles I walk on my treadmill desk when I'm working. And I was walking like insane amounts each month and then just adding it up. And it was just cool. And I didn't really have an end game with that. I just was like, I walked 100 miles this month while I was doing other things. And I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't had my treadmill desk. So it was just fun. Right. And so I think that's a way that the planner really does help me stay on track. The other piece, another piece I use a ton of, and you guys have said, what do I do with the blank pages in the planner? The lists. Like I have my lists, these sections in front of every month. So you get 12 of those. And then within each weekly spread, there are, this is really important. I want to explain this because this is what I don't think y'all are using this to its full capacity. Those of you who have the planner, there's 4 little columns at the bottom of the weekly spread. And you can go to the blog and look at this, or just if you're on YouTube, you can kind of see it. These are just little blank columns, right? So what I do is each column, one is for home for me, and I label it. You can label it for whatever you want. I have a work column, I have a home column, I have sometimes like a soda fountain column. It just depends. And then when I start the week on my weekly spread, I go and write down everything that needs to happen that week. So like, for example, this is next year's planner, but in the one I have in the house, it's right now as I record this, it's Thanksgiving week. So my work to-do lists I have on the bottom here are record this podcast. I had another podcast interview yesterday. I need to make a couple reels. I need to write a newsletter. And I need to prepare a menu for the soda fountain. That's my work stuff. My home stuff is get a turkey, do some gift buying, do some holiday prep, get ready for Thanksgiving. So those are my home items. Oh, I need to clean the greenhouse too. I need to do that when I'm done with this podcast, actually. So I see those at the columns at the bottom. I make the list, and then I go into the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc. And I put the task where they're going to fit, right? So like Tuesday and today, I had blank space. So I put a whole bunch of those work tasks into those days. Thursday is Thanksgiving. It has nothing other than cooking. Friday, I'm going to do some gift buying. So I was able to take the list at the bottom and plug them into the days. Sounds silly, but that's literally just how my brain works. I've used this method for 8 years, and it is what keeps me going. It's what helps me stay on track. But you can use the list pages. I'm always making lists. At the soda fountain, we have legal pads. We make lists and lists and lists and lists. I know lists make some people feel like anxious, but that's really how I survive. I don't have any other way to do it. It's just writing lists and checking them off. Okay, the next piece is garden tracking. So in the planner, there is a garden section. If you don't have a garden, you'll still get a lot of use out of the planner. But if you do have one, you're going to like this part. So I track what I plant because I forget so bad. Like yesterday, I went out to the garden. I needed to harvest garlic, and everything's really overgrown right now. I've confessed. It is really, really bad. I couldn't remember what bed I planted the garlic in because I had pulled most of it out, but I knew there were a few cloves left. And I was like, I don't know where I put it. I have no idea. So I looked in my planner and I'm like, which bed had garlic? And it was bed 8. And I'm like, oh, perfect. And I went and found the garlic cloves under the weeds. So you can make lists here because we have planting logs where it says location where planted, produce, variety, or there's graph paper grids in this section where you can draw your garden and just write it there. So I've done both. They're both handy. I write the date I planted it. I write notes like this grew well, this sucked, the bugs ate this one, this bolted, all of that. The other piece I love in the garden section is the seed inventory, because seeds will cost you a lot of money if you don't know what you have. They don't last forever. And so I've had a really bad habit in years past before I started tracking where I would overbuy. I'd forget what I had. I'd buy more. And then I would have poor germination rates with the older seeds. And so now I realized more isn't more with seeds. You really got to watch them. Some last for a long time, some last less. It just depends on the plant. And so using the seed variety tracker, seed collection tracker is really useful for that. And that's in the back. I also love, in the kitchen section, what I use a ton is the favorite recipe list, because I cook a lot. I consider myself pretty handy in the kitchen, but I have this thing where if it's 4:30 and I haven't really planned out what we're eating, I can stand in my kitchen and I will forget everything I know how to make. Like, I don't know if you guys do that. I'll be like, I can go blank. I'm like, I don't even know the options. I can't think of anything. And so what I use these pages for, there's favorite breakfast, favorite lunch, favorite suppers. Just write down just quickly. You don't have to write down the whole recipe. Just write down the name of your repertoires. Like what can you make fast, easy with stuff in your cabinet? It might be 10 recipes. It might be 20. But man, that helps on those days where you're not feeling super inspired. You just need, like, give me something easy. Give me something that I know I can make. And then it's like, oh yeah, the skillet meal. Oh yeah, I forgot that carbonara that I can throw together with pantry stuff. So use that a lot. Um, and then I guess the other piece I use a lot, you could do this with other planners, but I made a space in mine just for this purpose, are the little menu slots at the top of the weekly spread. So each day of the week has breakfast, lunch, supper. It's just a little tiny box, and you just write the name of what you're making there. We've talked extensively here on the show and elsewhere on my lack of menu planning. I don't menu plan like some people do, but I do like to plan out in little bits what we're having a few days ahead of time, or what I need to defrost. And I just write that down on those weekly spreads, and it makes a huge difference in the flow of our week, even if it's just 2 days out or 3 days out. And I don't usually plan lunch, that's leftovers. Breakfast is like a reoccurring rotation, so that's not fancy, but I just will plan out what we're having for supper. And that would be, I think, one of the top 3 most used pieces of this planner for me. So those are my tips and tricks for getting things done, mostly dropping minimal balls, to drop some. And I hope that was useful to you. I just want you to know, like, I'm not perfect. Like, there's days where things flow really well and I feel hyper productive and everything gets done. There are days where I feel behind and things don't get done and things go wrong, and I'm constantly shifting and adjusting. And I just want you to know that's normal, especially if you have a lot of irons in the fire. Um, I I talked about it a little bit in this previous episode. Is I love the simple life, but I also need more. Like, I love the entrepreneur life too, and I love running businesses and having full to-do lists. Like, I thrive on that, and not everybody does, and that's okay. But part of that is figuring out how to balance all the things, and I don't think I've completely figured it out yet, nor will I ever, and I'm okay with that. So I just wanted to encourage you to give yourself some grace. If you don't feel like you're perfectly balancing, neither am I. I think balance is a little bit of a myth, and it's okay for dropping some balls, or maybe your tomatoes rotted this year. So did mine. Um, and we're just rolling through the seasons, right? Doing the best we can. I will say I am really excited for this winter season. I have been for a while. I'm excited for the slower evenings and the dark nights. I've just been very much drawn to sitting by the fire reading a book in the darkness. Like, that is what I want right now. And I'm really trying to honor that as much as I can with basketball and practices and kid things. That's the one part I haven't figured out yet, how to keep my peace with having to drive everywhere in the evenings. But anyway, maybe we'll do an episode on that in the future. But you got this, my friend. And I hope if you have the planner this year or coming into 2026, I hope it's useful for you. If you have questions on how to use it, feel free to shoot me a message. I'll do more videos and things on social media on how to use it and what I do with the pages. If you want your copy, go ahead, grab it while you can. We sell out every year. It's prairieplanner.com. It's really awesome this year. We partnered with Homestead Living. The cover is amazing. The paper's really thick. It's not going to bleed. The tabs are awesome. So you're going to love it. And even if you don't have a full-fledged homestead, you're going to get a lot of use. This is really for everybody. So thanks for listening. And you probably won't hear from me until after the new year, because I'm just trying to take a little more time off to enjoy the holidays. But watch for more episodes coming after January 1st. So thanks, friends. Thanks for being here. Thanks for bearing with me as I've had this kind of roller coaster of a podcast schedule. Grab a planner while you can. And yeah, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, y'all. We'll talk soon.